Hi, welcome to the Inside Track with Scottish Sun. As always, we've got Jim Delahunt here with me. With a cracking weekend in the betting front and racing wise last week, Jim. Plenty of winners. I think we had four winners in total. Dublin Racing Festival, plenty to talk about. Musselburgh was cracking card. What was your take on the weekend? And have you anything to kick us off?
Oh, we really did have a good weekend last week, Robert. 17 to 2, 7 to 1, 11 to 4, 2 to 1 winners. We were both delighted with those. Well done, you. And we are looking forward to another terrific weekend this weekend. It's maybe a bit lesser, but there's a huge meeting at Newbury. And I noticed this morning somebody saying that 14 Cheltenham winners have come out of this Newbury card since 2010. So it is a meeting worth taking a very close look at. But I think we should start, and I appreciate that some people will be watching this later on Friday and maybe even on Saturday morning. But there was a bad accident at Thurles in Ireland on Thursday afternoon when Mikey O'Sullivan came down at the last fence on the favourite in an early race. And he was airlifted to hospital. As we record this, Robert, on Friday morning, we haven't had an update from Ireland as to Mikey's condition. We hope that's a good thing. But as we said at the top there, we appreciate that people could be watching this later on Friday or Saturday morning, and there may have been an update. But all we can say at the moment is that we're thinking in Mikey, and we hope that all is well. It's a dangerous game. We both know that. We all know that. Everybody watching that, taking the trouble to watch that, knows that racing's a dangerous game. I rode out for 9 years when I was younger. Never get anything worse than a broken foot, but people get hurt all the time. It's a tough old sport. We're thinking in Mikey, and we really hope that he pulls through.
Yeah, would second that, Jim. Hopefully get a positive update later on today. Racing wise, we had the Dublin Racing Festival last weekend. Some superstars, some emerging superstars on show. We'll just maybe start with Kopek de Boards, who's now shot to favouritism for the champion hurdle. I mean, this thing looks an absolute weapon. Does he is he a bit buzzy still for you, Jim? I know he was better this time than he was the last time. Is the only thing that can beat this horse now at Cheltenham himself? Because you'll have all the razzmatazz, they'll have to take him past the Guinness Village where there'll be an Irish band playing, no doubt. You know, there'll be the roar and whatever. You would imagine they'll have earplugs in or they'll have a red hood on him to
Yeah.
try and keep a lid on him, won't you?
You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, is he going to beat himself? I don't think so. I think he'll be fine. I think Willie Mullins knows exactly what he's doing. Willie even expressed himself totally surprised by how good the performance was. I think that's significant. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've not seen anything that I would like to back against him in that Supreme Novices hurdle. He looks a very solid favourite. It's very difficult to see past him. It was a hugely impressive performance. I managed to get on him on Saturday after I looked again at the form beforehand. He was a very short price. He's going to be a short price come Cheltenham, but he's going to be in a lot of people's ACCA's bankers as they work up to the meeting. And at this moment in time, I certainly can't see anything to beat him. And I'm sure Willie Mullins and Paul Townend will have that horse fully sorted out for all the trials and tribulations that are going to come his way on the opening day when that big roar goes up at Cheltenham in a few weeks.
Like, he certainly looks the real deal. I mean, another horse that we know by now, the evidence is stacked up time and time again, is the real deal. Is Galloping des Champs. We're going to have a small field Gold Cup with an odds-on favourite, aren't we? It's inevitable now.
Yeah, it's totally inevitable, and rightly so. Again, I saw a bookmaker going evens on Galloping des Champs last Saturday. I took that with open arms. I was delighted to back him that day because I really couldn't see him getting beat last weekend. It's very difficult to see him getting beat now at Cheltenham. He is the real deal. He's going for three Gold Cups. He's a very classy animal. He now looks as if he might even be better at Leopardstown. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous given he's a dual Cheltenham Gold Cup winner, but he now looks as if Leopardstown really is his major track. But he goes to Cheltenham. He's a worthy odds-on favourite. The only thing I could mention at the moment is a horse that I mentioned in the column last Sunday, the diary column in the Scottish Sun, and that's Banbridge. I think he's a forgotten horse. He's gone and won the King George at Kempton over a trip which nobody thought he would get. When you come off watching that race, you probably thought he needs further. So Joseph O'Brien and owner Ronnie Bartlett, Scottish owner Ronnie Bartlett, have committed him to the Gold Cup now. He definitely goes there instead of going for the Ryanair. If you're looking for an alternative each way at 8 to 1, then Banbridge, I think, is the only alternative at the moment to Galloping des Champs because he's untried. in terms of 3¼ miles. He looks on the Kempton evidence, despite previous evidence that he was a 2.5 miler, he looks on the Kempton evidence that he will get it. So I would say he's the each way value, but like you, I cannot see past Gallopin as the winner at the moment.
Yeah, he just looks absolutely rock solid. As you say, Banbridge is the only one that's got a bit of the unknown about him. Everything else you look in that Gold Cup field, you pretty much know where they stand in relation to Gallopin Deschamps, don't you? But
Yeah, very, very much so.
yeah, we'll move on to Champion Hurdle. We obviously had Stateman against Lossiemouth. Didn't see a conclusion to the race because Lossiemouth came down. Suggestion is she's now going to go to the mares. Stateman will be Champion Hurdle. Brighter days ahead. Now looks Elliott's in the paper this morning saying, he's never had a better Champion Hurdle chance. Do you now expect her to run there? Are they now looking at it thinking, well, we've got Stateman covered, we've already beat him, Lossiemouth's not going, Constitution Hill's the only one we've got to beat here?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And Gordon Elliott knows how good Brighter Days Ahead is. He'll be hoping that Michael O'Leary realises the same thing, because Michael O'Leary pays the bills and Michael O'Leary decides where the horses run. And so far, Michael O'Leary and his brother have said that this horse goes for the mares. So we're going to have to see if she switched to the Champion Hurdle. Gordon says they will tell everybody in plenty of time now. I don't know what that means, because they now have to, because you can only go for one race at the Cheltenham Festival now. So they now have to tell everybody where she's going to go a couple of days before. I suspect that Gordon Elliott will win that argument with Michael O'Leary. She will go for the Champion Hurdle. She does look the biggest danger to Constitution Hill. Stateman, the only thing I would say about Stateman is people said he looked tired at the end of that race after he'd cut out the running with Lossiemouth, and of course she fell. I thought Stateman was very lucky not to be injured when Lossiemouth came down. I thought Paul Townend did well and the horse did well to avoid the falling Lossiemouth. He could have been badly injured in that fall as well, but he kept on going. And the horses behind, who were so far behind when the Lossiemouth fell, they didn't make up any ground, and Stateman won very, very easily. So I would still say that reigning champion hurdler, okay, your Constitution Hill wasn't there last year, but the reigning champion hurdler is still in the mix. But as you say, brighter days ahead. They've got to go for the Champion Hurdle. They really do.
Yeah, he certainly showed the feet of a tap dancer to avoid getting brought down, didn't he?
He certainly did. And very, very fortunate to avoid. I mean, can you imagine the shuffles of that race if they'd both come down? Deary me.
And talking of horses that are quick and nimble, the Arkle is shaping up to be one of the races of the festival now that we've got Magsborough came out and won. We've got Sergino in the Game Spirit this week. I mean, we'll find out a lot on Saturday. But this race looks phenomenal with two potentially generational talents, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Magsborough, of course, won the Triumph last year when Sergino wasn't there, and is now 94 second favourite for the Arkle with Sergino odds on. How big is 9-4 going to look if Sergino doesn't win the Game Spirit at Newbury on Saturday? So that's all I would say on that one. Magsborough at 9-4 at the moment. Sergino still has to go and do it. I'm actually quite surprised that Nicky Henderson's running this horse on Saturday. I thought he'd just sit and wait for the Arkle, but he obviously thinks it needs another race. He's taking on some decent horses. He's taking on a horse of Nigel Twiston-Davies called Matata, which I put up each way at 40s for the Champion Chase a couple of weeks ago. And if Matata runs to form, and if Matata has improved as much as Willie Twiston-Davies thinks it might have, then that could give Sergino a race. But just at this moment, I am edging towards, without committing myself, Magsborough for the Arkle. But let's see how Sergino does on Saturday.
Well, there is two previous Nicky Henderson horses that have run in the Game Spirit and against the older, more experienced horses, and they were Sprinter, Sacre and Altior. So that maybe tells you what he thinks of Sergino.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. The other thing as well is, do you maybe sense that because of what happened last year with the spring being a write-off, Nicky Henderson's been a wee bit more aggressive with his campaigning this year in terms of maybe in the past he would, we'll go for a racecourse gallop instead and things like that.
Yeah.
I think there's a slight difference in him this year, I think. Have you picked that up as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I noticed in the tone of his voice when he was being interviewed the other day on Racing TV, he was talking about these racecourse gallops. And I think he's thoroughly fed up of these racecourse gallops being recorded for television, being nitpicked, and people telling him how good or how bad his horses have worked when he knows damn fine, if you excuse the language, how good or how badly his horses have worked. So I think he's getting a bit fed up with that. He's running the horses on the track. Constitution Hill We've seen him. We're going to see Sergino again on Saturday. Good on Nicky. We all want to see the horses on the track. These racecourse gallops can be absolutely meaningless sometimes. Although the one that they all talked about, the Sergino one with Constitution Hill, it turns out that was probably right enough. Sergino was the better horse in that gallop, but. Yeah, I think Nicky is he's decided just to bite the bullet, get the horses out on the track. Let's see how good they are in races, and good on him. Delighted.
Well, we'll have a look at Newbury now. We've kind of went through the game spirit already. I mean, it won't be a penalty kick. I mean, Matata will put a lot of pace in the race. Liberty Hunter is a potential improver as well. I mean, you would still think Sergino goes out and wins, though, don't you? And if he's going to beat Magsborough at the festival, he needs to come out and win.
Yeah, he has to come and win this. He really does, and he broads on to do so. I've already mentioned Matata. You know my thoughts on that one. I think it could go well in the champion chase. Might be worth if there's any extended places there at a big price. Jamie Codd, I also mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Jamie Codd put up Liberty Hunter, which was an odd one, an Irishman putting up a Welsh horse for the champion chase. So we'll see how good Liberty Hunter is for Ian Williams in this race on Saturday. But as you say, Sergino has to go and win it and set up this big showdown that we're all looking forward to in the Arkle.
Well, we'll come to the main event, which is the William Hill Handicap Hurdle, formerly the Betfair Hurdle or the Schweppes, depending how old you are. But we'll go to the Denman Chase first, which looks like a Grade 2, very, very weak race, doesn't it, Jim?
It really does. I'd hope, I don't have a bet in this, I'm not going to put anything up at all. I'd hope that Galaw runs well, and I'll just be watching the race to see if Galaw can run well for Jamie Snowden and Gavin Sheehan. And I know you think Le Patron might be the best of a bad lot.
Just purely in the fact that he's younger and he's got more potential to improve, but it's a rotten race for the standard. Le Patron won here at the December meeting, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Won quite well, proved that his Grade 1 win last year wasn't a fluke. So, I mean, if you're looking for one that might improve, but I'm like you, I won't be having a bet in the race.
What,
Oh, sorry, on you go, Jim.
no, I was just going to say, what about that 3 mile hurdle before the 150?
Yeah, I quite fancy one called the Four Sixes in this, which it went chasing last time at Weatherby and was out in front, unseated the rider, four from home. But if you think back to the Scottish National meeting at Ayr in April, he gave £3 to Punter de l'Est and got beat 1.5 lengths. In behind that day were Jaguar, who's come out and run well since, Doddy the Great, who's been highly
Yeah.
rated but is not fired this year, Dripsy Moon for Jimmy Fife, who's won a lot of races. The form is mighty. So, I mean, he's got right good handicap hurdle form. Now, after the fall, Ollie Murphy's decided to put him back over hurdles, whether he's maybe got someone else in mind. But I thought 20 to 1 for this horse looks an absolutely mad price given the form that he showed at Ayr in the spring last year. So I've had a bet on him each way at 20 to 1.
Yeah, you make a good case for that, Robert. The 4 6s, I wish you luck with it. I'll be cheering it on with you. I haven't got a bet in the race myself. We'll get to this big race in just a second. But the other one I want to mention is in the 410. It's the Novices Limited Handicap Chase over 3 miles. And it's a horse, he's won his last two, so he's not going to be a big price. Heracles Westwood for Warren Greatrix and James Bowen, the lesser of the two Bowen brothers at the moment. Let's see how they finish up their careers. But James Bowen on Heracles Westwood for Warren Greatrix. And just a mention for Warren, I think he'll win this race with this horse. He sent a horse to the Dublin Racing Festival last week and he finished third in a Grade 1. I think it was the Copec de Bordes race. So well done him. We said last week more British trainers should be going over there and trying to win a prize. Warren went over with one of his horses. He's finished third in a Grade 1. He had two Willie Mullins in front of him and he's four behind. So well done him, and I hope he wins with Heracles Westwood on Saturday. But let's get into the big one. What about the... As the oldies call it, the Schweppes.
Well, just before you go, I was going to actually mention I've got one in that race as well. The 410, toss of a coin.
Toss of a coin, yes.
Yeah, for Paul Nicholls, who the demise of Paul Nicholls has maybe been a bit exaggerated. All he's doing is winning at a lower level, but he's had 4 winners at his last 11 runners, so they're coming right back into form. It ran in a right good novice chase at Uttoxeter in November. And he actually got whacked in the snout by Richard Patrick's whip. He was flailing about, and he ended up getting beat. He finished second that day. He was pulled up at Exeter the last time, but that was in December when Nicholls' horses weren't really firing particularly well. I think he's got the running style to suit Newbury. He'll go out in front. He'll have Pickrock for for company up there in the
Yeah.
van, I would think. But I just think Nicholls horses are coming back into form. This is a horse they thought quite a bit of, I believe. 13-2, I think he is each way. I think we've got the dead 8 runners in the race, so that's the one I've backed each way.
Yeah, and you get the cheek pieces on for the first time. So, as ever in these situations, let's hope we're coming over the last together, and may the best man win. So, what about the big one then? What about the now newly called William Hill Hurdle?
Well, our old chum, the equine Donald Trump, Secret Squirrel, he's mad flash of hair. We put him up in the show a while back, and he
Yeah,
fell when he was third, the last at Ascot. We're in the next time at Windsor. He's your favourite at the moment. He's up £5 for that Windsor run, but I think Joyeuse, there's a bit of momentum behind Joyeuse, isn't there?
yeah.
That one looks like it might go off favourite. What have you got in the race, Jim? And what's your take on the likes of Secret Squirrel, Joyeuse, and a few others?
I absolutely love Secret Squirrel. I love him to look at. I love his racing style. And I saw an interview with Hughie Morrison this week, and apparently he's got a bit of attitude as well. He would take your hand off as soon as look at you. So you've got to be careful around him. But good luck to Secret Squirrel. Yes, up with £5 due to the penalty for winning at Windsor. You mentioned Joyeuse, very significant Nico's on that one instead of last year's winner, Iberico Lord, which he won on last year. Mirabad, I think you would have to bring that one into the equation. Hasn't run for a long time, but Luke Scott taking £5 off that one. But the one I really like, the one I'm very keen on, and the one I will nap in the Scottish Sun on Saturday is Navajo Indy, trained by Tom Simmons, ridden by Gavin Sheehan. Finished fourth at Windsor in that Secret Squirrel race. Never seemed to be going the pace. Don't think he was suited by the track, but absolutely loves Newbury. He's got fantastic form figures at Newbury. I think it's 1-2-1. He is obviously £5 better off with Secret Squirrel. The cheek pieces go on for the first time. I think it's set up for a huge run from Navajo Indy. I think Tom Simmons is an emerging talent in the training ranks. If you take out all his 66-1 and 50-1 runners, the horses that are sort of 12-1 and below, they are all running very, very well indeed. And I think Navajo Indy, which has been nibbled in from 10-1 to 7s, is still a decent price. And that's going to be my nap on Saturday afternoon.
Well, we'll get to my selection in a minute, Jim. But we've got some breaking news here. Sergino is now out of the game spirit.
Oh,
He's picked up a cut on the inside of his near hind leg in exercise yesterday, so he's been scratched from the race. Just reading Nicky Henderson here, who says he's now got a dilemma to get another run in before the Arkle or not. The Pendle at Kempton might be an option over 2.5. So that's
fascinating.
fairly big breaking news there. Back to Newbury. I fancy a horse called Mirabad at 14
Yeah,
to 1 each way here. He ran away with a race at Cheltenham in December, and I'd actually backed the horse that finished third that day, and I was sitting for the final mile thinking this thing's got to come back to him. It's got to come back to him. And he just never. He just kept galloping and galloping and galloping. I mean, he must have been 10, 15 lengths clear going over the last. They got it down to about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 lengths or something in the end when he was going up the hill. But I just think he's got the same claimer on again, taking £5 off. He never went up too much for that. I think I like horses winning for the front at Newbury. I think if he gets away in the front, again, he might be hard to catch. So 14 to 1 each way, Mirabad each way for me.
nice one. And well done for spotting that breaking news on the phone, getting that in about Sergino. We'll see what happens there. Just a quick mention of Warwick. I don't think we're putting up any selections here, but Low de Sud looks a good thing in the Kingmaker, you would think, for Dan and Harry Skelton. That's a 205. And I just wanted to mention Naas on Saturday, Robert, because they like Musselburgh, they brand this meeting Cheltenham Trials Day. And there was one or two performances last year which did turn out to be significant. The horse which won tomorrow's Saturday's 155 was Answer to Cafe. That went on to finish fourth in the Martin Pipe behind Better Days Ahead, which we're going to mention in just a moment. Also, there's a run later on, a race later on called the Opera Hat Mares Chase. This was won last year by Allegory de Vassy, which runs again on Saturday. That's at 4:15. That went on to be fourth in the Mares Chase at Cheltenham. And more importantly, I think of the three races that were significant in terms of Cheltenham last year, the Hunter's Chase at 4:50. We don't pay too much attention to Hunter chasing these days, but It's on the Line won this race last year and was then just pipped by Sheena Nominee in the Fox Hunters at Cheltenham. It's on the Line runs again under Derek O'Connor, 450 on Saturday. I would expect that one to win again, that Hunter's Chase at Naas, and go on to Cheltenham. And I think it's Cheltenham we're going on to now because we're going to talk about the Brown Advisory.
Yes, well, Ballyburn came out and stepped up in trip and won quite convincingly at the Dublin Racing Festival last week. So he's now rock solid favourite for that. So I just thought we could maybe talk through the Brown Advisory, the old RSA, and see, can we find anything to beat Ballyburn? That's the big question.
It's a huge question, and I'm finding it difficult to answer. He's 2-1 favourite, and I think if I was doing a treble or a four horse ACA, he'd be one of them. I think 2-1's a very good price for Ballyburn. He had his critics on some of his jumping at Leopardstown last weekend, but I wasn't one of them. I thought the way he powered clear from the last was very, very impressive. I think the 3 miles at Cheltenham is going to be absolutely ideal for this horse. Again, it's another Ronnie Bartlett one. Um, Obviously, the owner of Banbridge that we mentioned earlier on, going for the Gold Cup on the Thursday. But Ballyburn, solid favourite for the Brown Advisory. Price wise, in the Racing Post, they put up Better Days Ahead this week. This was the horse that won the Martin Pipe last year, and we know the great record that Martin Pipe winners have when they go chasing. Gordon Elliott trains Better Days Ahead. He's only had 2 chases so far. He won the first at Navan. The runner-up Slade Steele came out and finished second to Lecky Watson at Naas the next time, and he was then second to Croke Park. That horse was well beaten by Ballyburn last weekend. I wouldn't expect Croke Park to be able to beat Ballyburn again, and just the very fact that Better Days Ahead is has probably got some improvement in him. I would suggest he's a danger, but I'm very much in the Ballyburn camp at the moment, finding it very difficult to put something up against Ballyburn. And I think 2-1 could actually be quite good value, even at this early stage.
Yeah, he's definitely bred to get the 3 miles. I mean, I had a look at his pedigree. I mean, he's a brother to Noble Endeavour, who's a 3 mile winner, ran the National Hunt
Yeah,
Chase. Manila Daddy, another one, 3 mile winner, albeit at a much lower level. But I mean, Dancing City, his stablemate, probably the most obvious alternative. I mean, beat the Jukebox Man in the Sefton last year. But I mean, a few weeks ago we were talking about how the British Challenge, we had the Jukebox Man, we had
yeah,
Jangle Bay and whatever, and they're kind of just falling by the wayside now. We did suggest at the time that when you got closer to the festival and you looked at these anti-post markets or the markets as they're starting to form much closer to the race, that you would see the strength and depth that the Irish have got. And I mean,
yeah.
Jangle Bay's left standing, but it's defeating the Silly Elves, Jim, by handstand. Can you really see that beating a Ballyburn or a Dancing City?
No, I can't
Um,
really, and I would love to make a case for something, but I just can't. I really can't. I think Ballyburn showed everybody what he was capable of at Leopardstown last week. Stepped up in trip, and I think this Cheltenham 3 miles is absolutely made for him. 2-1. I don't want to get too excited about 2-1, but it does look a price at the moment. It really does.
yeah. Well, thanks very much, Jim. Good luck with your bets this weekend and good luck with yours, folks. Cheers.
You too, Robert. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Cheers.